Iapi Dakota Iapi ake hang here takapi. We come and we set with the Dakota language, Dakota Iapi. Heduha with, because it is ours. Heduha means it's ours, so we're holding it, you know. Heduha. We sit. It's a good day today, July 22nd, I believe, Dakota says, so we will get back into it kind of slowly. Slowly get back into the language. Maybe we'll do some reviews and those kinds of things. But I will say my prayer again, wochiki, and then we will get going. Hechituktado. How to a kantaka, I told a michik when you hitch it. Ke hetchet, Peter Washtech, when I up can they open the chichi. Can't hetchet Dakota Iapi Hiduha. How did you know here, Takape? Ona, how to hire can hetchet, did you know here, Takapsnitka? Ke a Peter could they yuptum kept the unka, on Guichi Piankt. To it, Okia. A Dakota watching, Dakota air watching, Kaunchikid. Okia war I hetchet, I told a contact a hoichich. Dahan, ik show chashta. Dahan Dakota kidina, Nakota la kotak. Toked uyakum be tension in the han. Dahan, Hanina watching Yapido dahan. Oshunk the poets with a kate optum captonka. Didn't want Yakapo, what do it okay watching yachina. I want you chakida. Chakia I hatchet. I bet to get the hoichich. Chahechika tokateke. As a kishne, position, chuitation, water head, dinner. Yok pay yushki and dinner. Of the kate, optum kept. 1 year to a monk nipte. I hatchet at all contaka. I pay to kinder hatchet this to the hoichichi. Chanshunkidapo, onkiapo, I hatchet opide chichedo. Omitakwiki, ours. Aho. So I know you've been out there in YouTube world. You've been practicing. I know that. You've been practicing while we're off the air for a couple of weeks. And if not, why? If you haven't been practicing, if you haven't been going back to what we have covered already, just daily conversations, why are you not doing it? Is my question to you. Dokecha, why? Dokecha unspenich ichi. Why are you not teaching yourself? Unspenich ichi. Shni is you're not or no. Again, I emphasize the importance of language and culture. That is our identity. Hey, unkiepe. We talk about identity a lot these days, losing our identity. And it is designed that way. So once we understand, once we know why it was designed that way, then it should give us that more of a push to get it back. We were assimilated to to the Washichu world, Washichu religion, Washichu language, and all these kinds of things. Assimilation happened. Colonialism. That is to manage us more easily, to get at the lands and the resources of our territories, and that is the only reason. They don't care if we suffer by it, and we have been suffering by it because we are not who we were born to be generations and generations ago. So hina awachim po, awachins, think about that. Hina awachim po, hina awachaminkte. I will think about that. Hina awachanipte. You, all of you will think about that. Owas, all of us, we will think about it. Owas awachimte. We will think about that. What brought us here today? Why? Once we understand these things, then it gives us that much more strength to keep moving ahead, to retain the language, because we see the importance of it. Hina otechike. Onka haya unyakumpe. Da onkotap de haya unyakumpe. Nakach just a while ago, apetu yamani topa kachetu ha 3 or 4 days ago. Apetu yamani topa chetu about there. We had our Wachipi here, Sioux Valley Wachipi. Sioux Valley Dakota Nation umkap. Sioux Valley Dakota Nation powwow. Daonkotap. We are Dakota. I listen. I observe. Ibiduksha, I think. I see progress with the language and the culture. I know the continuation of the culture. Dakota, we choch, what we are known to be, the things that we do, the activities that we do as a Dakota. Dakota, we choch, the culture of the Dakota, what we do. We choch, the work that we do. We chocha is a work, but it's a way of life that we try to maintain. I see there is progress or there's continuation of it. I'm not going to say that there's great strides we're making, but at least we are maintaining. What worries me is the fluent speakers are leaving us. And that worries me. So hina iduk something, you think of those things. And it should give you more courage. B'dehedni chapter, you're going to find courage. Echanupte, you're going to do it. I always think Dakota, remember, wake up Dakota. Dakota iotakapo, Dakota awachi. Think about Dakota. When you wake up. If you're serious about it, there is materials that you could use, just like this little pamphlet here. These are readily available. Little pamphlets. You got it, Takush? And that's just basic, everyday words that you could use. So let's look at some of these. There's one page. You got it, Dakota? There's another page. Little saying, little phrases that you could practice. If you could see it clearly, I'm hoping. Well, let's just work with these today. Just as a starter again, as I say, we were off for a while, so we'll go through these, because these are everyday words that we say, everyday sentences that we use. How are you doing? Oshte. What is your name? And these kinds of things. Dakota Wichoie. Dakota Sayings, a survival booklet. I like that, survival booklet. With the language and the culture, you will find yourself surviving as a Dakota individual. Iapi sayings. For female, you say, huh, when you're greeting, when you meet somebody. Women say, huh, and the male will say, ho. That's hi or hello. We're just going to review some of the things that we've gone over. Get your mind thinking about Dakota language again. How are you? Or how are you doing? Washte means fine or good. Nishto, what about you? Or and you? Washte, nishto. Pida maya ye. A female will say that. Pida maya ye. The male will say, Pida maya ye do. Thank you. Henana. That's all. Or thank you. Henana. That's all. Toshta ake wachiake kte. I will see you again. And you've always heard that there is no goodbye in Dakota language. There is no word for goodbye. It's always we'll see you again. Toshta ake wachiake kte. I will see you again. Toshta ake waunki chiakapte. We will see each other. Toshta ake waunki chiakapte. We will see each other again if there's a group of us, you know. Oh, ashte. Oh, it's good. Toshta ake waunki chiakapte. If it's singular, toshta ake wachiake kte ye. Or toshta ake wachiake kte do. Oh, ashte ye. Oh, ashte do. Toshta ake. You hear that a lot, eh? Toshta ake. That's all. Henana. Toshta ake wachiake kte. I will see you again. Takad doketu. How is it outside? Takad doketu. How is it outside? You can say owashte chake ye or owashte chake do. It's a nice day. You can say washteshni ye or washteshni do. It's a bad day. Amachpia ye. Amachpia do. It's cloudy. Amachpia. It's cloudy. Amachpia ye. Amachpia do. Wahi he ye or wahi he do. It's snowing. It's snowing. Magajuya or magajudo. It's raining. It's raining. Magajuya, magajudo. Magaju. Rain. Magaju. Tate yampa ye. Or tate yampa do. It's windy. Taka tate yampa ye. Taka tate yampa do. Magaju amachpia do. Just like the past few days, Nina kate ye. Nina kate do. It's hot. It's very hot. Hot. Takad nina kate ye. Takad nina kate do. Tka. But. Kitana tatampa. It's a little windy. Hewashte. Takad kata. Tka. But. Tka. But. Kitana. A little bit. Tatampa. A little bit wind. Tatampa. Tate is wind. Tatampa is windy. Takad kata tka. Kitana tatampa. Hewashte. It is very windy. Nina tatampa ye. Nina tatampa do. Hiya. No. Takat tatampa, huh? Is it windy outside? Hiya. Tatampa shni. Or, huh? Female will say, huh? Taka tatampa, huh? Huh? The male will say, ho. Taka tatampa ye. Or taka tatampa do. Dokecha. Why? Dokecha. Otonta bedekte. You might say, I'm going to go to town. Otonta bedekte. The person you're conversing with might ask, Dokecha, why? Wopetum bedekte. I will go purchase. Wopetum, nothing in particular, just purchasing. Wopetum bedekte. You can be specific. Woyote, food, groceries. Woyote, hoebedekte. I will go get some groceries. Otonta bedekte. Dokecha. Woyote, hoebedekte. Conversation. Dokia. Where is a person? Dokie. Dokie. Where? Dukted is another where. It's a thing. Dokie. Where, like in a person. Dokie. Dukted is where, a thing. Or even it can be a person too. You might say, you might say, I'm standing over here. You might be on the phone. I'm standing over here. On the other person, if you're not visible, they might say, Tukted. The question will be, Tukted, where? Tukted, where? Or you can say, Dokia. Dokia, where? Behind the announcer stand. Announcer stand, Ichayata, behind. Remember I was saying a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago, you can put the Washichu word in your Dakota conversation if you want. If you don't want to say the Dakota word for Iapaha is the announcer stand Iapaha naji. Ichata, behind. You can say the Washichu word behind the announcer stand. Announcer stand Ichata, behind it. Hechanaja, I'm standing over there. I'm standing over here. Hechanawaji, or Dechia nawaji. I'm standing over here. Nishto, what about you? Nishto. Dokia nayaji. Where are you standing? Where are you at? Dukted. Dukted nayaji. Where are you at? Taku. What? What? Taku. What? Mie. Me. Mie. Me. Nia. You. Could say detaku, huh? Somebody that doesn't maybe see the Pepsi sign on there, and you said, might say detaku, huh? What is this? Detaku, huh? What is this? Detaku, huh? What is this? Minis nina hechado. That's, remember, it's a pop or a juice that's cold beverage. Minis nina. Remember, if it's water, it's minis ni. Minis ni hecha. Minis nina hecha is pop. Minis ni hecha is water. O api icharu hecha. It's a writing pencil or a pen. Taku, what is it? Mie, me, nie, you. Unkie, us. Unkie pi, all of us. Da unkotapi. Unkie pi, da unkotapi. We are Dakota. Unkie pi, ikchewi chashtahe unchapi. Unkie pi, we are a common people. Ikche is ordinary or common. Wichashta is people. Ordinary people. Unkia ikche wichashtahe unchapi. We are common people. Miya ikche wichashtahe macha. I'm an Indian, you might say. I'm a common man. Niya ikche wichashtahe nicha. You're a common man, a common person. That's how we describe ourselves in our language, in Dakota language. Ikchewichashta. Or people say ikchewichasha. Common red man. Common red man. Wichasha. Red man, red person. No, not only man, but female, all of us, you know. Ikchewichasha, the common red person. That is who we are. That's how we address ourselves. Ikchewichasha hemacha. Ikchewichasha henicha. Dakota henicha. Dakota hemacha. Ikchewichasha hemochapi. All of us, the First Nations, all of us, North, South America, Ikchewichasha, we're common people. We're pagans, if you want to call it that. We're of the land. Pagans. We are of the land. We have our own culture. We have our own form of prayer. We have our own language. That's what paganism is. We live off the land. Ikchewichasha hamacha. I'm a common person. Nishto. What about you? Nishto, you. He. He is him or her. Hetuahe, who is that? Hetakuhe, what is that? Ka, over there. Ka takuhe. Over there, not here. Ka. Ka kia, way over there. Ka, you can drag it on for how far it is. You can point with your lips if you want. You know, ka kia. Way over there. By dragging it, you can infer that it's a long ways. Kakya. Or kakya is like a little bit here. Dechia, over here. Dechia nawaji. Dechia. Dead. Dead nawaji, I'm standing here. Dead yake. It's right here. Dead iotako. Sit right here. Kakya iotako. Kakya. Over there. God iotako, there. God iotako. Dechia hiopo. Dechia iotakapo. Come here. Come sit here. Iotakapo. You eat that. Wohodakap, we will talk. Umanichie is a meeting. We will have umanichie. Hiopo. Dechia upo. Ded iotakapo. Umanichie unhap, we will talk. We will visit. Minis nino yatkampte. Tijuta sapo yatkampte do. Mini sni. Okay, yatkampte. Ini puzahe, are you thirsty? Deminido de. This is water. Deminis nina do. Wajitukte achin. Which one do you want? Wajitukte. Which? Wajitukte. Wajitukte achin. Which one do you want? Or you can say uma tukte. Uma, because there's two of them. One and one. Uma tukte achin. All of these here is, you can say the phrase, Wajitukte achin. Out of all these, which one do you want? If it's just two, uma tukte achin. De achin, you want this? Ish or ish de achin. De achin, ish de achin. Uma tukte achin. Ish nupini achin, or do you want both of them? Ish nupini achin. Do you want both of them? You can have a cookie and drink your pop at the same time, wash it down. Uma tukte achin. You can say napin mak'ua. Give me both of them. Napin mak'u. A woman would say, a female would say, napin mak'u. A male will say, napin mak'u. Ima puze. I'm thirsty. Wote wahada. I'm hungry. Wote wahada. Nishto. Wote ahada. Are you hungry? Nishto. Wote ahadapi. Are you hungry? Takoja will buy us food right here. What hadapi? Are you hungry? Takun yachimpe. Takun is something, nothing in particular. Takun, something, yachimpe. Cookies, Pepsi. Aguyapi skuskuya. Aguyapi is bread. Skuskuya is, it's sweet. Aguyapi skuskuya. Cookies or something sweet. Minis nina. Ish. Bijuta sapa. Ish wachpe. Ish minis ni. Taku ya chimpe. What do you want? Ojitukte. Which one? These kinds of conversations you should know already because you've been practicing, right? You are really truthfully trying to regain the language. And it's up to you to do it. I can't make you do it. But the importance of language, as I've said before, your children, your takoja, hina Dakota pe. They are Dakota. They are of a common man, common person. They deserve to be who they're supposed to be. And it's up to you. You have the responsibility to teach them. I have the responsibility to teach my children, my grandchildren, Dakota language, Dakota Iapi. Remember, it's up to you. I said earlier, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, why are you going to deny the language to the next generation? That is why we're here. That is why. Deched uyankapi. We sit like this. Deched like this. Uyankapi. We're sitting. We're listening. We're talking. Practicing. Because we know the importance of it. So, I am again today emphasizing that you have to. Why succumb to the policies of the Washichu, knowing that all they want to do is to get at the lands, the resources, the territories of Dakota. They'll be more manageable. You'll be more manageable that way. Take you from all over in your territory, put you here in the Oyanke, the settlement, Wipazokawakpa, to better manage you and to be able to use the resources that they're after. That's all they're after. Nothing else. They want to change your language, your mode of life, how you pray, accept Christianity, and these kinds of things. That's just to control so they can have easy access over here. That's all it is. That's really, what else is there? Nakutaku. What else? You know, you see them all over in your territory. There's an oil rig over there, there's a mine over there. Who's saying anything? Nobody. Because now you're a Canadian citizen. Without asking for it, they made you a Canadian citizen. They made you a citizen of Canada by removing your language, removing your culture. And now you can think about these things. Because that's basically all over North and South America what they've been doing. Remove the people off their areas and off their territories and exploit those territories. That's all they want. But you got to be more manageable. And I said that before. In 1868, 1869, Queen Victoria, before the treaties, Queen Victoria made 2 statutes or 2 laws, which they didn't tell us, or which they didn't tell the Indian, the Ikshewchasha, that this is their plan. 1868, they made the what did I call it? A State Department, but it's not a state. It's a department anyway. I'd say State Department, which is Indian Affairs today. Part of what she created in 1868. I'll call it the Indian Affairs. That's part of 1868 statute. To create that. And then 1869, for lack of a better term or words, I call it in the Enfranchisement Act, 1869. Remember 1867, Canada became Canada, this great country. 1868, she created a department, and 1869, she created the Enfranchisement Act. Put these together to apply to the Ikshewchasha, the Indian, at a time in the future. And then 1871, the treaties were made with the Ikshewchasha, with the common man. The treaties were started signing them in 1871 in the prairies anyway. But they didn't tell you the 1868 statute or law, or 1869 statute or law. They didn't tell you that. And the Indian wouldn't understand that anyways. But that was in their mind. To create a department where they're going to control your 1860 statute is to better manage Indians and ordinance lands, as it says. Better manage Indians and ordinance lands. And gradually enfranchisement to make them into something else legal, something legally, something else, which is the Canadian citizen under the laws. So that is why you can't talk Dakota, because after 1871, in the 1880s, then the residential schools came in, the different denominations of Christianity came in, and then they started working on the Indian to enfranchise it, take language and culture away, kill the Indian in the child, is what they say. And the result of it is we see it today. As I say, I see it, I hear it this weekend at our powwow. One young couple, call them my takojas from the States, fluent in Dakota, holy man. Both young husband, young wife, their children. They listen, they hear, they know what Dakota language is. They act on it and these kinds of things. And there's several young boys like that today that are fluent in the language, and that makes me happy. I see it and I hear it, and I talk it with them. Dakota. So that made my heart, my spirit happy this weekend, to sit with them and listen to them singing the songs in Dakota. Playing the ancient game of Ichumpa, the moccasin game. Iapi danced the powwow, singing Dakota. There's other tribes there that made it whole. We are Iksherichasha, we are the common man, we are the pagan. So those are the plans that was set forth in 1871 in this way. They're supposed to work together, 1868, 1869 statutes. Gradually enfranchise. What is a franchise? Google it. What is a franchise? It's a corporation. A franchise is a corporation. So I used to be a pagan, an Iksherichasha, a Dakota. Now I'm a corporation. What the heck is going on? Think about that. Because Canada works under corporate law. Woope. Woope is law. Woope. Canada functions under corporate law. That's why you have to be, as a Dakota, as an Indian, you have to be a corporation equal. You can't be above Dakota Nation. You have to be equal. So they can, legally in their courts, they can manage you better. Take your ordinance lands, manage them better. They can't do it if you're here. They can do it if you're here, but they treat us here. I understand these things. I look at it, I read about it, do a little bit of research on it, and this is what not only myself, but what I read is what I'm talking about, what people know. And I learned from it by reading the law, the statute, and the explanation of it, why they did these things, So we are in a battle to regain our identities, the Makota, the Nikota, Nakota Hinicha, Ma Nakota, Lakota, Ma Lakota, Lakota Hinicha. All of us are in this game. All tribes are in this game. Dakota, Nakota, Lakota. The language is a little bit different, but understandable. You can understand each other. Even in Dakota, there's 4 or 5 dialects of Dakota. Lakota the same, Nakota the same. From Canadian Nakota to American Nakota. A little bit different, but understand each other. Way over there, Alberta hates you. Beneath me, the Nakota over there in Alberta. Sometimes I pick up some of the Nakota words, very, very different, but understandable. If I need to, I will research their language. I'll be able to speak their language. It's just the pronunciations are different. So, like that, we're all in the same boat. We should all understand why we are in the situation that we are in today, without language, without culture, which is our identity, our legal identity. Hina unkiape, that is who we are. That is who we're supposed to be. But it's been changed because of 68 and 69 statute, 71 treaties that didn't tell us about the 68 and 69, their plan on what to do with us. To better manage us, to better manage ordinance lands, to exploit what belongs to us, the lands and the resources. That is the main reason. Nothing else. Can you think of anything else? Taku naku idukcha. Dokacha hechumpi. Why did they do that? Dokacha, why? Hechumpi, they did that. Is there a different reason? Taku tokcha nisho akachnika. Do you understand? Do you have a better understanding on why they did that? You let me know why you think that way. But you see the results of it, right? Iyo unyakape, it's affecting us now. Loss of language and loss of culture. Iyo mayake, it's affecting me. Iyo niyake, it's affecting you. Iyo unyakape, it's affecting all of us. Go down this community here, walk around. Any Indian community, Dakota Oyanke, Ikchewiceshta Oyanke. Dakota Oyanke is a Dakota settlement. Ikchewiceshta is the Indian settlement. Go walk around, see what you see. If 68 and 69 statutes, laws that are applied to us, if that was good for us, do we see it out here? Wadakape, the good. How good is it? Are we thriving? Are we happy? Are our children thriving, going to thrive? Are they going to be happy? That is why I say these things as a Dakota. Damakota, I want to be Dakota. So let's get back to this booklet here. I just wanted to say those things. Iotaka, sit down. Sit. Tokan Iaya, get away from there. Tokan Iaya, get away from there. Hanta, get away from there. If the Takoja is playing outside, he's playing outside in the mud and getting all muddy, you say, Hanta wo, Tokan Iaya wo, Tokan Iaya. Because it'll be detrimental to them playing in that mud or the snow or, whatever is going on. So they ask them to go away, step aside. So, Tokan Iaya, go away. I know in Cree or Soda it's Machan. See, I know a little bit of other language. Machan's get away. Hatta. Iotaka, sit. Hiyu, come here. Timahed, hiyu. Timahed. Ti comes from tipi. Timahed is come inside. I think we've used the word timahed from tipi. Come inside. Because you're sitting inside, you might yell out, Timahed, hiyu. Somebody might be knocking. Gatoto, knocking. Timahed, hiyu. Come inside. Iotako, come inside, sit. Wachpilgat go, drink some tea. Pizurta sapulgat go, Timaid hiu. Hechushni, don't do that. Hechushni wo, don't do that. Itokab, I think I've used these words before, I remember. Itokab is before. This is here. Itokab is before, in front of. You can say in front of. Itokab, in front of. Ihakab, this is Ihakab. This is Itokab. This Ihakab is behind. Ichata, behind. Ihakab, behind. Ichata, behind. All these is Ichata, behind, or Ihakab. And the booklet is Ahake, Ichata, the last one that's behind this item here. If you're going this way, this will ahakich ichata. The last item that's there, in kind of like in a row here. Itokab, before. It could be like a date. Itokab could be a date, on a calendar date or something. You might say, on the 18th of July, what sheep they did dance on the 18th of July. Here, Apetu Itokab, the day before. Or you say, Apetu here, Apetu Ihakab, the day after, the day following. Hechunshni, don't do that. Hechunshni, don't do that. Somebody doing something, a takoja doing something, they might hurt themselves or something. Say, Hechunshni. A woman will say it that way. Hechunshni. A man will say, Hechunshni wo. Hechunshno. Ahana, long ago. Ahana, that's a long ago. Ahana could be 2 years ago or 3 years ago, not that far. Ahana, I said it fast, Ahana. Ahana, that means that's a long time ago. Not specifically how many years, but a long time ago. Iyehan Kagashnin didn't make it on time. 8:30. He came here at 8:30. He got to work at 8:30. Iyehan Kagashnin didn't make it on time to work. Iyehan Kagashni. Iyehan Kagashni didn't make it on time. Ihakab, remember, after. Achanach. Achanach, or some might pronounce it Hachanach. Early in the morning. Achanach, early in the morning. Maybe before the sun rises. We hinapishniched, before the sun rises. Before the sun rises. Achanach. We hinapishniched, before the sun rises. Tokaya is first. Tokaya, ahake, last. Tokaya, ahake, last. Chokaya, in the middle. Chokaya. Tokaya, ahake, chokaya. In the middle. Itokadhiaye, yeah. Itokadhiaye, do. Itokad, I would say, itokab. Let's write that. I'll show you what I mean. The difference in pronunciation or spelling. Itokadhiaye. This will be our last instruction. God, ya, ye. And a female will say gender ending ye, or a male will say do. When I read that, I know what they're talking about. Remember, I was saying there's a little bit of difference in pronunciation. When I read that, I had to think about it, but I caught it right. I knew that means he's going forward. He's leading. There's two people walking. The one that's leading. Ha means that one. But this is a female gender ending, a male gender ending. The reason why I say that is I would say it a little bit different, but this is not wrong. Again, this is not wrong. I would say gab, he, ya, ye, ye. or do. See, the only thing is the B. That's the only thing. Itokad hiaye, itokab hiaye, or itokad hiaye do, itokab hiaye do. The only difference is here. But I picked it out right away when I looked at it, and okay, yeah, I figured out right away what they're saying, and it's correct. Both are correct. You can't say either or is wrong. They're both correct. Because I can understand the word. Itokab is before. The one that's leading, itokab hiaye do. So it doesn't really matter if you say itokad hiaye or itokab hiaye. Both are correct. Both can be used to convey that message, what you wanted them to understand. So there is a classic example of pronunciation. Pronunciation is important, but in this case, it's important, but they're both correct. Itokad hiaye, itokab hiaye, same thing, same meaning, same understanding, just one letter difference. I don't know what you call that. The B itokab or itokad. So you understand? De tokaya, this first. De tokaya. Ahakech. Tokaya, ahakeda or ahakech. De tokaya, de ahake. De chokaya, this is in the middle. Tokaya, ahake, chokaya. In the middle. First, last, in the middle. Wana. Remember that word? Wana. Now. Not tomorrow. Not 5 minutes or 10 minutes from now. Wana. Not next year. Wana. Hakashi tiri chan wana pedo. I'm sorry, okay? Wana, now. I'm just reviewing this little booklet here, yeah. Ahan. There's another one. Ahan. I was just going through here, this little booklet, and that word there, itokad hiaye. And I was saying, I would say it itokab hiaye. But both are understandable. Yeah. Both are correct. One is not more correct than the other one. As long as you understand the word, right? Nishtokad hekta.
Itokab hiaye.
Itokab, nisha you'll use the B, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the writer of this booklet uses the D language. Itokad hiaye. But both understandable. And here's another one. What did I see? What did I see? Then, ahan. See, there's another one. And this will be my last one. I lied before. So they're saying ahan. This is an A. Ahan. Ahan means then. If somebody was talking Dakota, we were having a Dakota conversation, and he's talking about ahan or then. Ahan wahadi. I went to town, then I came back. You know, ahan wahadi. I went to town, then I came back. Then, ahan. I would say it, hehan. How would you say it?
I will use both sometimes.
Both?
Yeah.
You see, sometimes you use this, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I use the.
this one here. But in a conversation, it's both understandable, right? Again, both of these are correct. There's no right or wrong. It's just how you pronounce it. Remember, we were saying pronunciation is important. But we hear these often, so we know what they're talking about. Like I can think of an individual that will use this. I went to town, then I came back. I would say, same thing, just a little bit pronunciation difference. And it is what it is. I mean, once you know the language, once you've been hearing the language, you've been using the language, you see the minor differences. But the message or the conversation is understandable using either or. In these two cases, and there's probably more in here. And the difference is just a D and a B interchanged, and in the second one, the A is changed with the H and E. Hehan, ahan, hehan, same thing then. So cool, huh? So I'll go that far, and we'll take a break, and then we'll come back in a few minutes. Hey, cheat do.
Amitaki api. Tähän detser. Taku uskamna. Uskamsne hitsi taku ota. Ojatekin hän. Taktukit. Manita. We had a flood. We had to do detours. Ohmani ukiapi. Ohmani is go around that certain road that we use. Hatchachna. Otonta Brandon Wheelgata Oapka na. Ohmani ukiapi, and it takes long. So these are the problems that we faced when the flood came. We had people working day and night, to keep an eye on everything, so as making sure everybody was safe. Just so we can have a powwow too. To have a good powwow, because a lot of people come, to visit, a lot of relatives. Wota kuya hana wichota, ahi honicha, oge hana wachipi, ish dohapi, ish titoka hipi. Some people come to dance, or to sing, or just to visit, relatives here in Sioux Valley. And it's always a good time because, some come from far. So we only, practically see each other once a year. So these are the things, that is important to us. Because as Dakota people, we have that connection. Daun kotam na tohayashta, we'll keep connected no matter what. And to add to that, wichota ichimani Iapi. We've lost relatives, that made their journey. Some young, old. It's kind of a sad time for the community, because, and then, having the powwow. So there was a mix of emotions that was happening in the community, because, people, come out to enjoy themselves, just to get away from, sitting at home, being lonely, and that's how I felt. I went, a couple times just to go watch, but I'll go home and, think about everybody, people that came. I've seen a lot of relatives. I have lots of relatives out there. Some came, visited, right in my own home. So that was, in a good feeling. So what people, that have lost their loved ones, especially, that's where my heart went. Wota kuya togach puichamna chante shichape. But, life goes on. We have to, make it better, one day at a time. We cannot rush ourselves. When something happens, it happens. We cannot change things, sometimes for the better. But we just take it one day at a time. See what brings us today. We can't, think of tomorrow. because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But we can't look back because whatever happened, yesterday, last week, if we had made a mistake, we can't change it. So we just leave it alone. Hakikta etwa umpi unkoki hipsne. Kaswana hana taku skamking na wana tukte wana ukoki hipsne to you talk shapi ukoki hipsne. We can't change things, so we just leave it. But Dakota people carry a prayer. We are prayerful people, so that's what we depend on. Wot shakea, to pray. That's all we can do. That's all we have, to pray from the heart. Wakantaka is always, the grandfathers, they're always listening. You might think that, my prayers don't mean anything. No, they mean something. Sometimes we may not see it right away, but eventually it does. But you have to be honest with your prayer. Believe in your prayer. Wot shakea yakaga piking na wichadab stuli way. Because it seems nowadays people have a harder time, especially our young people, to make a prayer, and expect an answer. It doesn't work like that. We pray, we don't pray, asking for something good. We don't pray for, to give us something. It doesn't, material things. We don't ask for things like that. Instead we pray for the health of our people, for your own health, for somebody else's health, for the well-being of somebody. Maybe a child that is sick, the elderly that are not doing well. Some are on dialysis. Some, are in the hospital with heart conditions. Those are the kinds of things that we pray. We pray for people that are traveling, someplace, that they would have a good, safe road. We pray for people, that are in ceremonies, that whatever they're praying for, will turn out for the better. Praying for people, that are having a hard time, that they will, see something good. So these are just examples, with our prayer. I'm not saying, there's a right way or a wrong way of praying, but, the thing is, we don't ask for material things. You can pray for anything that you want to pray about, but, not material things like, wishing for a new car or, stuff like that. Those are material things. But we pray with honesty, that your future, your children's future, your grandchildren's future, will be good, that they will go a long ways, without, any problems, because we always worry about our children and our grandchildren, that they would do better than me. That's what I think, with my children and my grandchildren. I want them to do better than me, so as they can have a better understanding of life, of anything that happens around themselves. So, we can go on and, do good things for ourselves. Wo I chake, hananakun, wo ahad, wo hoda, having respect for people. Wo inina, wo nachun, to listen well. We have our ears that, we can hear only good things. We try not to listen to the bad things because, when we start doing that, that's where the gossip starts, the rumors. Iapi. People say that. Those are rumors. We have to listen to people, but we can't, take it and pass it on to others because sometimes we don't know if that's the truth or not. So we have to be very careful. Or, if you hear a person talking like that, that's talking nonsense about another person or, people doing this and that, the best thing to do is walk away. Remove yourself, from that situation because you don't want to get caught up in anything like that. So these are the things, that we have to make it come back to us and teach it to our children, our grandchildren, so as they won't walk that way of life. We are Dakota people, we stand proud. So this is what we need to do. Be proud of who we are without, any negative feelings or any bad thoughts about other people. These are so important to do. At the same time, it's hard to do that, to change that around because of our residential school, day school, it changed our way of thinking. That's when, especially with the nuns teaching us, to pray, get on our knees and pray, that changed us. We become angry because they took our way of praying. So, and of course, we were there, some for, a longer period of time. So when they came home, back to their own community, they only seen what they grew up with, but they took themselves away from that and either applied their Christian way of life or whatever they choose to do. So that made a confusion amongst the community. A lot of people do not understand or don't want to be bothered with our way of life. They want to, find the easy way out. But there's no easy way out because you're still a Dakota person. We have to, try and do what we learn, what we know. So with colonization, it did a lot of harm to our people, not just Dakota people, but people across the nation. It did a lot of harm. And now people are struggling. That's why you see, from coast to coast, in every city, you see homeless people. they're lost. And, you can't blame them. You can't put down a homeless person because they didn't choose to be like that. Because they're lost. They're trying to find identity for themselves. Or even with the 60 scoop, when they came home and when they became of age, they were told to, you're 18 now, go find something to do. Some were good, they kept them until however long it took them to be who they are. But a lot of them didn't know that they were indigenous people. They were lost. We had a lot from our community that went, and I always say the 60 scoop is a lot worse than residential school. Because when they went to another home, it's usually a Washichu home, and they weren't taught anything. They weren't told, who they are or where they came from. They tried to erase that out of them. So they fed them a lot of information with what they should do with themselves, in their own way, in their way, how they do things. Some were successful, with their education. Some, didn't go very far. And once they turned 18, they thought, okay, I'm 18, I'm going to go home. A lot of them didn't know where home was. They had to search. So when they did come home finally, to the community where they're from, again, there was barriers. A lot of them, a family was gone. Their mom, dad weren't there. Siblings, were gone. Maybe, and that's where, as much as I don't like to say, they became involved with alcohol at that time. There was drugs, but, people didn't get into that. But, so a lot of, most of them, went back to where they were. Some stayed, and they became homeless. You see them on the street. Some, with loved ones gone, looking for identity. That's where they found their identity, is to be amongst other people like them, helping each other, to find out. They kind of like formed a little community within themselves, families. They gather together. And yes, they drink, they do alcohol. But then again, I always think, it's to, take that pain away that they're going through. Forget everything that they've been through, because some of them, didn't have a very good upbringing while they were away in residential school or in the 60 scoops in adoption homes. So that's the kind of pain, they wanted to forget, was through drinking. And over time, they became involved with drugs, and, yes, I would admit, people are on drugs, especially meth, Yeah, so excuse us, our alarms went off for a storm warning or something. I thought, my God. But, going back, to, our people, we do have laws. We have them come from all over the place, you know, and we have to treat them like human because they are humans. It's just that they made a wrong choice. They want love. They want to be, to be spoken to in a good way. Not point out the bad things in their life because they know what they're doing is not right, but it's not their fault. So to talk to them in a good way and encourage them, to try and help themselves in a good way so as they can eventually become, out of that. But most of them don't, which is very unfortunate. But now we have to, try and advocate for them, especially with the government, our provincial government. We have to, start addressing these things to help the homeless because, come wintertime, our winters get very cold, and some, don't have a place to go, but, to just lie over the vents that are on the street that kind of blows warm air, covered up in cardboards or blankets. They can't put up a tent because, security or police will come and dismantle them. Instead of doing that, the cities should find something for them, a place to go. And, like some do. I know some cities do, where they will, put them up into little makeshift places, where there's beds and a meal. But during the day, they're out there, sitting around. But at night, some of them can have a warm bed to sleep on. But it's a sad situation, and this is, I'm talking about these things because these things are happening right in front of our eyes. Sometimes I feel helpless too. What can I do to help my people? So that's where my prayer comes in, and I pray for them that they would not be suffering, that they would find themselves, that they would find something good for themselves. These are my prayers for them because we don't want to see people like that. Long time ago, long time ago, our people didn't live like that. There was no such thing. Everybody was taken care of in the encampment or, villages or whatever that you want to call it. People helped each other, supported each other. There's a saying, it takes a whole village to raise a child. That's so true. We all take part in a child. But now we can't do that because there are certain laws with the government that, you cannot touch a child. You cannot speak harshly to a child. Otherwise, you get reprimanded for that. So it's very hard. And children know that too. Well, I'm going to tell the police. I'm going to tell so-and-so. Because, it's already in their heads, that they can get away with things. No child should be getting away with things, especially, it applies to children, under 12. Over 12, they have that free thing, that they can do things on their own or, make their own decisions. Some of our children can't even make their own decisions. So how can we let that happen? That's how come, a long time ago, in our teepees, all the families lived together. It didn't matter how old they were. We still cared for them because that's where love forms. That's where respect forms. The woksape, the wisdom, the teachings, that's how it's formed, being together as a tioshpaye, as a family unit, that's how things evolve. But now we can't do that because as soon as, somebody is 18, like they still live at home, but there's nothing being done. There's no prodding at all from the parents, to talk to them, support them. They just let them be and they're on their games all night long, sleep all day. That's not a way of life. We have to, as Dakota people here, myself included, we have to change that. It's hard, but we have to change that. If you don't like seeing things like that in your home, we have to say it. Yes, they will get hurt. They will get upset. They'll say something back, but that's okay. You keep trying, be honest with it. Eventually, hopefully, they would see it and try and do something. Because, if we, like this is why we sit here and we try and do our Dakota language. A lot of people do not speak it or they do not understand. But once you start understanding the language, that's where our values are. It's easier to absorb. It's easier to understand what I'm talking about. Some of you might think that I'm talking harshly about things, but I'm not, because these are the things that I see that are happening, around us, and I want to help in any which way I can. I have my language. I have my Dakota way of life. I understand and know the protocols of a lot of things, and I'm willing to share that, but it's, again, it's up to the people to come and, ask for that help. We can, well, like with me, I don't refuse anybody. If they want to talk, yes, okay, come on. We'll sit over here and, we'll talk. But a lot of, we have to have that patience, to in order to take a role like that. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes, you might find yourself thinking that, did I say the right things? And there's no wrong way or right way of doing things. Like, my H.H. Oswald always says, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. We do what we feel is proper for a person. If a person feels okay with that, is, comfortable with that, well, that's okay. If they find their comfort zone, that's good. We can't push people. We can't tell people what to do. We can give them choices, and it's up to them to think about it and, and do what they need to do. Especially, I think about the homeless all the time. Sometimes I wish I could just go there and gather them all up, but I know it's not going to happen like that, But that's why, in the city of Brandon or the city of Winnipeg, somebody needs to form a group, some kind of I don't know what to call it, but an organization, I guess, and try and approach these, that organization needs to be prepared, because it's not going to be easy. They're going to hear a lot of things. And, once people know that, that organization is there, they might take advantage of it. You never know. So we have to, these are the things that we're going to expect, but we have to do it slowly. We can't, people can't just rush in there and, okay, you come with me, this is what I want you to do. You quit that drinking or you quit those drugs or you're not going to get this. No, that's not the way of approaching people. You have to earn trust. That's the first thing, is you earn trust. When you talk to a person, and that's how you will slowly. It will be a long process, but slowly, you will get that person moving, and it's going to take a long time to get them to the level where you want. There's different levels of it. Some, might, go into it right away, but I know there's a lot that will have a hard time because that, so many promises are broken with them and they need that trust from a good person. So my friends and relatives, it makes me feel good to talk about things like this. It kind of, to put it out there, let people think about it, sleep on it, maybe, start talking about it. It takes, it doesn't, you can't do it on your own, It will take a lot of people, to start and make changes. So, these are some of the things that, I think about, to how I can help my people, again, using our Dakota values, our way of life. Because our way of life as a Dakota person, we are supposed to be there to share and to help, for them to gain knowledge, with how to conduct themselves. Because once they start doing that, they would realize, hopefully, that, what the things that they are doing is not right. It will take a long process. It could take, a few years, but, to get it started, it'll be good. So, because, like I'm not trying to make up an excuse, but I am very busy. And, this is what I want to do for the city of Brandon, to approach, their team, their council, the mayor and his people, to see, where we can start. We have the Brandon Friendship Center. I was even thinking of going there and to tell them, some of the things that, what my thoughts are, to help me along, because they work with a lot of homeless people. So we need to start advocating and start helping. I know some of them get the help that they need, but some, could be new in the city and they don't know where to go and might be quite heavily, into drugs or drinking. These need to be done. Again, we are Dakota people. We have to start doing our ceremonies with them, slowly, introduce whatever that's out there to them, especially, with the Initi, the sweat lodge. That's where people will go to, purify themselves, not only, what's in their body, but mind, body, and soul. That's where that purification needs to go, so as they can't just go once. It has to be kind of ongoing before, they realize, okay, I like this way of life and I'm going to continue to do that. Some, go once and they might say, oh, it's not for me. But we don't give up on them, just keep doing it, keep trying. So, there is a lot of thinking to it. We have to do what we can. We can't change people, but we can make them see themselves, who they are. They are lost. They don't have identity. They don't have culture. They don't have the language. So they just, they just have themselves, whoever that they hang out with, in the cities, they just have themselves. They don't have nobody else. So they form that family, to keep going, supporting each other and whatever that they are doing. So my Iapi, Dina wichoya ki ito iduk champta. My relatives, think about the words that I have spoken. Iduk champta. Think about it. Maybe you might be going through the same thing too, about trying to help. It's a tough job, but it's good to put it out in the open, or to start praying for them. Our prayers are very important, so we need to start using it in a good way. So my friends and relatives, I will be here again tomorrow, and I'll do a little bit of the language. Maybe start some a new set of phrases or something, that we can use in everyday life. So you take care. Daya duksha akha hanakcha. Thank you.